Welcome back, brewers and beer lovers, to Flying Wombat TV, and today we're going to talk about how to take a commercial can of beer and clone it yourself at home. Let's get started. First, let's quickly talk about why you'd want to clone a beer, because as a home brewer, you have full creative freedom to make any kind of beer you want, with any kind of recipe you want. More so if you brew all grain, it gives you even more variety above what extract brewers can do. But for what reason then would you want to take a commercial beer and go, you know what, I'm going to try and replicate that exactly so I can drink it at home? Well, there's three main reasons in my eyes. Reason number one, you might just really like a commercial variety and you want to be able to put it on tap in your own house. It's obvious. You get to enjoy the fruits of your labor. You get to show off to your friends that you know how to brew a Tsingtao at home. If you don't know how we made this one, link to that up there. But reason number two is cost. The average six-pack of beer in Australia is like $25 in Sydney. Even more so if you're talking craft beer, you can be pushing like $30, $35. Whereas you could make a full keg of beer for like $40 if you're running things pretty smart. So yeah, it's a lot cheaper to homebrew. It's another reason why you should start homebrewing in 2025. Link to that video up there if you want to check out those reasons and have a little bit of a laugh as a brewer yourself. But reason number three that I think is the most important is it refines your skills. It's a very difficult thing to taste a drink and then go, okay, based on what I'm smelling, based on what I'm tasting, based on this mouthfeel, I know exactly how I'm gonna craft a recipe to replicate exactly what's in this bottle. And that is something that I think is immensely valuable as a home brewer. If you can taste something and then reverse engineer it based on flavor, not only is it an extremely rewarding and fun experience, but it also gives you a far greater understanding of the ingredients you're working with, how they interact with each other, and how to really emphasize or push a recipe towards particular flavor profiles that you're after. So that's the reason why I like to do it. That and YouTube. YouTube is great with clone beer recipes. You guys seem to like them. But now let's talk about research. That is very important. Step number one when you're going to start recreating a commercial beer recipe. I recommend checking out things like Beer Advocate, check out Untappd, check out Brewfather, check out all the places where people construct recipes and post it out to forums. Reddit is great for this. Avoid the Reddit trolls though, careful, they're dangerous. But go onto any social media forums like your Reddits, your Facebooks and what have you, and just ask the question, because odds are, if you're asking about it, someone has already done it before. When we started doing the homework to replicate our Tsingtao, to replicate Asahi, to replicate Corona, all those different beers, and link to Corona up there if you want to make a Mexican cerveza, we start with the research and just asking the question to the really wide and wonderful world of the beer brewing community. People have been doing this for a very long time and they got very, very good ideas. Take it all with a grain of salt, but if you do your homework, you'll get an excellent baseline to build the base recipe off from. And it's especially helpful when the commercial brewery actually releases their recipe for homebrewers. Sierra Nevada is actually famous for this in releasing their versions of recipes brewed to the homebrew scale. So if you want to check out the Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, for example, they've actually released a homebrew version of that recipe, as have a lot of major craft breweries. So you might actually get a huge running start if you just Google how to brew this at home, insert the beer name. But now let's talk about how we would actually reverse engineer and reconstruct the recipe. Once you start actually trying to reconstruct the recipe, there's two very important things to keep in mind. Now, as homebrewers, we are not encumbered by financial forecasts or projections or sales or needing to make profits or report to a board of directors. Our only priority is, does it taste good in our mouth? Does it smell great? Would our mates drink this? So we will often use a whole bunch of specialty grains. We'll use a huge variety of different hops and really bizarre out there yeast strains because we're exploring, we're adventuring into unknown territories because we want to discover what other flavors are out there. However, the priority of a commercial brewery is very different. They're focused on two things when it comes to production: efficiency and cost. So keep those two things in mind when you're starting to reconstruct your beer recipes. Don't go throwing 4 or 5 different grains and a whole bunch of specialties in there to try and really get that nuanced flavor, because more often than not, a commercial brewery is going to use 2, max 3 different malt varieties when they're constructing their beer recipes. They'll use a whole bunch of either ale or Pilsner malt. Then they're probably going to use a small amount of crystal, depending on the beer style, and then maybe one other specialty, with examples being like a Japanese beer, for example. There's going to need to be rice in there. There's going to need to be Pilsner malt in there. If it's a Chinese variety, there's going to be a little bit of crystal malt coming through to sweeten things up. But that is it. So the 2 kind of goals that I keep in mind when I create my clone recipes are simple is best and less is more. As much as you might want to throw in those extra ingredients, try to keep it stripped back, because that's how you're going to get far, far closer to what their version actually is. So especially when it starts coming to things like setting up your hop schedule, the other really important factor here is they're not going to be using a huge variety of different hops, because it's too inefficient, it costs too much, and it gets too complicated from a logistics perspective. The really key factor to keep in mind here when it comes to choosing the actual varieties of hops, yeast, and malts is that the more widely available and the more accessible that particular ingredient is worldwide, the far more likely it is that that's the ingredient that was actually being used in the recipe. More often than not, for commercial lagers worldwide, they're going to be using noble hop varieties. Why? European brewing routes and extremely widely available hop versions, because they're now grown the world over. If you're going to try and replicate a pale ale, like an American pale ale, for example, go back to the old school craft beer roots. Their odds are they're going to be using either crystal hops or cascade hops. The world was built on cascade hops in this new craft beer revolution. So go for the most widely available versions of those different hops, malts, or yeasts, and that's where you're actually going to strike gold in really trying to recreate their flavors. My last piece of advice when it comes to the recipe construction is don't ignore the water. What I mean is the water profile, the water chemistry. If you're new to this particular aspect of the world of brewing, please check out that video up there. It's Water Chemistry 101, and it explains exactly how to start fiddling with salts in your water profiles and how to get it exactly where it needs to be. Because as much as you can get close when you replicate a recipe by the grains, the hops, and the yeast, if you don't have the water profile right, the mouthfeel won't be right, the bitterness won't be right, the sweetness won't be right, and it won't come together to taste and feel exactly like a commercial version. So here's my 2 cents on chasing water profiles. If you're making a new world beer, like a craft beer that is produced in factory, in a brewery, in this modern age, like an American pale ale or like an IPA, follow what recommendations you can find online for that particular beer style and try to Google what water sources are available in that area. This is especially important if you're recreating a traditional beer, like if you're going old school and making a Kolsch, or if you're making a Hefeweizen or a Czech Pilsner, for example. In that case, you really want to follow what was the locally available water in that era, in that period of time, in that location, because that is where those brewers were not tampering with the water chemistry and they were just using what was naturally available. So if you're really trying to recreate an older style of European beer, for example, Google what kind of water profiles were available in the town closest to where the brewery is that you're trying to replicate a beer from. And finally, my last piece of advice is be scrupulous, be diligent with your note-taking, but also remember to really trust your senses. They are truly your greatest indicator for how close you're actually getting. So drink lots of beer, make lots of notes, and remember the things you do all throughout a brew day. Not just taking notes on the actual ingredients you use, but on the processes, the temperatures you hit, the milestones, the efficiencies, was your mash stuck this particular day? Did you remember to use Irish moss? All of these details are important if you want to get your beer as close as possible to a commercial version, just like we've done right here. This is my Japanese lager. This right here is the Japanese lager made by Four Pines. They are about as identical as you could possibly get here at home. If you want to see a taste off of us comparing our version to the commercial versions for a variety of our different clones lately, check out Patreon in the link down below. That's where we do all of our planning for future brew days, and it's also time that I should say thank you to our current Patreons. We received a whole bunch more of you guys over the last few weeks. It has not gone unnoticed. Thank you very much for that support over on Patreon. And if you want to help contribute to what clones we should be making next, jump on Patreon, because that's where we're deciding the majority of what our beers should be about now. The last few weeks of clone recipes have been coming directly from our Patreon votes. So if you want to have your say, check it out down there. And your hint for next week's beer is going to be Big Bad American Pale Ale. I'm trying to decide if I keep this as a clue. Yeah, I'll keep it as a clue. Big, strong, bold American Pale Ale at the heart of the beer revolution. It is going to be a clone recipe. It's going to be a widely available beer, and it's going to be one of the classic craft beers of the modern craft beer movement. That's my clues to you for next week's video is going to be about. So if you want to check out another clone video, be sure to circle around next week, and we'll see you then. Cheers, guys. Catch you later.